everyone. So today we're going to be talking about La Siguanaba. So stay here with me, and after my intro, we'll begin. Today we're talking about La Siguanaba. So the story of La Siguanaba comes from El Salvador. And over the years, the legend varies by region, but it all comes down to one thing. No matter what the variation is, she's punishing men. Some believe it to be just a myth, while others have had personal experiences with La Siguanaba. Her origin dates back to the colonial era when the Spaniards used to maintain control over the indigenous people or mixed race people. So according to the stories passed from generation to generation, La Siguanaba appears as a woman with a beautiful figure, never showing her face, as she always appears from behind. She tends to appear only on moonless nights and in places where there's stagnant water, such as rivers, lakes, ponds, or water basins in village homes. In El Salvador, a lot of houses have these things we call pilas. So it's like this little pool, like a water reservoir inside the home where they collect water. She's almost always seen stirring the water or washing clothes. Sometimes she takes on the image of a familiar person, and men fall under the charm of this beautiful woman. Once in her presence, she adopts a spectral and feared form that drives her victims insane and, in some cases, even to death. Now we'll be discussing the origin of La Siguanaba. So this is one of many legends, and according to the tales, she was a very beautiful peasant named Siwawet. Siwawet means beautiful woman. She used to be, so according to tales, she was a very beautiful peasant named Siwawet, which means beautiful woman. She used her feminine charms and black magic to enchant and seduce Yesun. Yesun was an Ahua prince and son of the god Tlaloc. She married Yesun and became the princess. So she became a princess when she married Yesun. And they conceived a son who they named Cipitillo. Once married, Yesun left to fight a war. And while Yesun was off fighting this war, Siwawet was unfaithful to him, and she neglected their son, El Cipitillo. With the absence of his parents, El Cipitillo fed himself by eating ashes, and he became ill and he was pot-bellied. Siwawet was power-hungry, and this led her to turn her husband, Yesun, into a monster. She used a magical potion because she wanted to get rid of the prince so that she could claim the throne alongside one of her lovers. Yesun was turned into a two-headed monster causing terror in the kingdom. During a celebration being held by Siwawet, Yesun began to harass the guests and causing terror. One of the guards, to protect the kingdom, he confronted the beast, which ended Yesun's life. Tlaloc finally realized all the atrocities committed by Siwawet and consulted with the god Deo for his help. And with this curse, she would be called Siguanaba, horrible woman. She would appear beautiful at first, but upon getting closer, she would transform into a horrible being that would frighten her victims and make them fall off cliffs. She carries an eerie presence that chills the air around her. She was condemned to wander the fields and appear to traveling men at night or unsuspecting men who enjoy alcohol and women. It is said that she's seen at night near rivers, lakes, or other water sources. She's always searching for her son, El Cipitillo, to whom God Deo granted eternal youth as punishment for Siguanaba for not caring for him. People who have had contact with her and stories from our elders say that she's a beautiful woman. When walking at night in the countryside, the sound of clothes hitting stones can be heard. The classic sound of someone washing clothes in a river or lake. And curiosity leads them to investigate, and the surprise is that they see a beautiful woman in translucent clothing or a nightgown, revealing a beautiful female figure, but not her face, which is always covered by her long hair. Men then are driven by lust of seeing the solitude, and they approach her trying to seduce her. Siguanaba responds and lets him get close. And once in front of her, she reveals her haunting appearance. Many say her head takes on a horse-like appearance. Others say it becomes a skull. Her breasts hang all the way down to the ground. Her hair is tangled and demonic. Her nails are long, and she has a diabolical laugh. This is Siwawet's punishment for what she did to her husband, Prince Yesun, and to their son, El Cipitillo. Some say that she's seen bathing with a gourd or gold comb. It's also said that to avoid losing one's soul during an encounter, one must buy a metal cross or commend oneself to God. Others say certain words must be repeated to drive her away, which are "Goodbye, Comadre Maria," dried chicken feet. In short, there are endless tricks and prayers against Siguanaba. Some say you must be brave and try to pull her hair, as this scares her and it makes her throw herself off cliffs. Another technique is to hold on to a plant called escovilla, which Siguanaba tries to pull you. She gets scared and leaves you alone. When a man fails to try to defend himself by following these techniques, he succumbs to Siguanaba. And it is said that basically she won and she took her victim's soul, leaving him without consciousness. Now, I'll be sharing a story that was told by my great-grandma. So my mom's paternal grandma used to tell this story. It's a true story, and it took place around 1935 in the countryside of El Salvador. She was a widowed single mother of 9, so she had 8 boys, 1 girl. My family owned a farm, and they grew beans, maize, sesame, sugar cane, among the crops that they grew. They raised cattle, horses, chickens, and once a week or once a month, they had to travel 3 hours each way, so a 6-hour round trip by horse to the commercial town to do business or buy whatever they needed. They had to wake up extremely early to make sure they were on the road by 4 a.m. They lived on the outskirts of their town, and to exit their house, it was like a lot of vegetation. On the way to the commercial town, they had to cross 2 creeks and 1 river. The second creek that they had to cross basically ran alongside a cemetery. On one of the days that one of the older boys had to go into town because they took turns, he made the mistake of leaving home extremely early. And so he went on his merry way riding his horse. So he crossed the first creek, everything was fine. Then there was like 2 miles in between both creeks. As I had already said, the second creek ran along with the town cemetery. And it was, of course, surrounded by nature, trees, vegetation. It was an extremely dark night with no moon, extreme silence. The only sound was the sound of his horse's steps. The way they would tell time was by the rotation of the moon, the stars, and the sun. His horse began to fidget, snort, and squeal, refusing to cross the river. He insisted on making his horse cross the river, when suddenly he felt someone mount his horse behind him. The horse refused to cross the river and kept walking alongside the river. The water seemed to be rising. He knew it wasn't normal. He began to pray. He was terrified. He was terrified because he could still feel someone sitting behind him on his horse. He kept praying. Finally, he felt whatever was sitting behind him jump off the horse. Whatever had been riding with him began laughing. This is when he realized that it was La Siguanaba. When he finally arrived at the commercial town to do his business, he realized that he had made the mistake of leaving home at 2 a.m., not 4 a.m. When he got home, he told his mom and siblings about what had happened to him. And since that day forward, my great-grandma made sure that she was more aware about what time her boys left home to go into town. And that is my story of La Siguanaba. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe, like, and share. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you could get notifications on when I post new videos. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.